Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the mega fight, upcoming mega fight. Islam Makhachev is taking on JDM. This is coming up. It's coming up real fast. A couple of weeks, about 2 more weeks, and we're going to have the biggest fight of the year: champion versus champion, lightweight champion. Islam Makhachev, who's on a tear. I think he's on a 15-fight win streak. I think he's 1 fight away from tying Anderson Silva's epic 16-fight win streak. So he could become the double champ, the first ever lightweight to move up to welterweight, hold 2 belts at once, and also tie for the longest win streak in UFC history. This is it, guys. This is a big moment. I'm going to tell you guys right away, I'm picking Islam Makhachev. Now, this is no easy fight. I don't want to make this sound like it's going to be an easy fight, but I want to give you guys my pick right away. And by the way, guys, make sure you use promo code FALL50 off at jujiclub.com. Jujiclub.com. Get any video on striking, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, conditioning, strong and stable knees, strong and stable back. Make sure you get those videos. Those are life-changing videos. Follow the rules in those videos, and you will train pain-free, injury-free for life. Okay, guys, use promo code 50 FALL50 off. It's on the bottom of your screen. It's in the description. You can't miss it. Just don't forget to punch it in, and you get 50% off absolutely anything. Okay, guys, with that said, why am I picking Islam Makhachev? Here's the thing. We've seen plenty of Islam. We've seen him fight. We've seen him be in hard fights. Like the Dustin Poirier fight was not an easy fight. That was not an easy fight. Dustin put up a real battle, and he's very similar to JDM in the sense that he's very heavy boxing. Now, of course, their boxing style is very different, but Islam Makhachev has dealt with this type of problem before. A very slick boxer who wants to keep him at distance and punish him with the hands. Dustin Poirier tried it, and actually Dustin Poirier did really well. Now imagine Dustin Poirier was a little bit bigger. And JDM, you could say, is a little bit more careful than Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is the type of guy who's going to get more into a blood and guts fight than JDM. Now JDM has gotten into plenty of bloody battles, but I would say he's more surgical. JDM is the type of guy, he's going to beat you sometimes. He could beat you with 1,000 paper cuts. Not to say he doesn't turn it on when he needs to, but you'll notice JDM, when he's punching, he's just tapping you. He's just tapping you. He's not pulling all his power into it. He's not pulling all his might. He's not swinging it from behind. He's not telegraphing. He's not ducking and chucking. No. He's dabbing you. Dab. He's chipping away at you. Chip. It takes a lot of discipline to punch that way. That punching style makes it harder to grab onto you. Whereas if you look at Poirier's style, Poirier, is a very surgical boxer for sure, but he puts a lot more heat on his shots. Okay. When you put a lot more heat on your shots, you're swinging your body around, you're pushing into the ground a lot longer than a JDM that kind of wants to hit you. He wants to beat you with 1,000 paper cuts. When you fight JDM style and you're very crisp and your shots are they're all setup shots. You're looking for a big shot, but you don't throw them often. It's harder to grab onto you. I want to shoot in your legs, but you didn't plant your feet so hard. You didn't shift your weight so big. Your movements were so small that if I shoot, it might not be the right time. You might just step out of the way. You might down block me. You might circle out of alignment. You might break the alignment that we have together. It could be a little bit more difficult to grab onto a JDM than a Dustin Poirier. Why? Because Dustin Poirier is the type of guy, he kind of goes for the kill more often. Now, JDM's gotten plenty of finishes. He's a great finisher. What I'm saying is that he's more patient in his finishing. He throws a lot of decoy shots, a lot of tip-tap chipping shots to land the big ones. And those kind of fighters are harder to predict, is what I'm trying to say. JDM is going to be harder to time on the takedown. If we go watch the Bilal Muhammad fight with JDM, it took a long time before Bilal could shoot on JDM. It took a long time. We all thought, hey, he's going to do what he did against Leon Edwards. He's going to shoot from round 1, bell 1, minute 1. He's going to have JDM up against the fence, putting him down over and over again, endless cardio and endless takedowns. That's not what we saw. We saw Bilal Muhammad hesitant to shoot more than usual, and it took a long time before he even got him to the ground. And when he did get him to the ground, JDM was able to scramble back up to his feet. We're going to talk about JDM's ground ability in the upcoming minutes. However, I want to mention his punching style. He's got a chipping, punching style. Now, some people think that means he has no power. Not at all. I'm sure he's a very stiff puncher. I'll watch him. He's a great puncher. He's a phenomenal puncher. Arguably the best boxer in UFC after Topuria. His punching style is harder to get a hold of. It's harder to shoot on. Why? He chips away. You never know when those big shots are coming because he throws them sparingly. He's very calculated and careful. Now, with that said, I think Makhachev is a very hard hitter. A lot of people sleep on his striking. His striking is highly underrated. Statistically speaking, Makhachev is one of the least hit fighters in UFC. Statistically speaking, when was the last time you saw him get hurt or rocked? You have to go all the way back to the Volk fight. He got tagged here and there. He got touched up here and there. In the Meccano fight, there was an exchange and Makhachev hit the ground. But if you rewatch it, no punch ever landed. He kind of slipped. He just stumbled. He kind of got hit in the chest, the pec, or the back of the shoulder. I can't remember what it was. But I rewatched it. He didn't get hit by a punch. It didn't connect. He just stumbled. He fell. He was kind of like punching and shooting at the same time. He tripped over his own feet. Okay, but at the end of the day, there was no shot that landed. He stumbled to the ground, got up, and shot into Meccano's legs, and we all know he got the Dars. Now, I think JDM is a better boxer, no doubt. Makhachev is not as technical with the hands. But I would tell you, power-wise, I would say they're fairly equal. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, Coach, he's a lightweight still. I don't think Makhachev is going to be a small welterweight. I think he's going to be a regular-sized welterweight. I think he was a huge lightweight. I don't know how he makes the weight. I've stood next to him. I've met him in person. He's a very big guy. How does he make the weight at 155? I don't know. Guys, shout out to my sponsor, Man-Made. Okay, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors. Man-Made, they make the world's best underwear. They're a Canadian company. Check them out. Okay, guys, like I was saying, Makhachev, he's probably going to be as big and as strong as JDM. Think about it. Don't you think Makhachev spars with welterweights on a regular basis? Of course he does. Do you think he tells himself, hey, I got really beat up by these welterweights that are fighting at the world-class level, and I think I should move up to welterweight? No, he's not thinking that. He's for sure doing really well against welterweight, world-class welterweights in the practice room. He's doing very well. He's dominating. And he's telling himself, hey, maybe I'll be even better at welterweight. Why? I'm killing myself making 155, and when I make 155 and I rehydrate, I'm not 100%. You can't fully rehydrate in such a short time. You're not back to 100%. And maybe that's why he's had great performances, but he's had a few difficult fights here and there, namely the Volkanovski fight. The Poirier fight was competitive. A lot of people, I don't know, I think they misremember it. They talk about it like if it was a blowout. It wasn't a blowout. He won the rounds. He beat Dustin. He subbed Dustin, but it was still a very competitive fight. He was hit. He got cut. Poirier was able to stop a few takedowns, even though it was a dominant fight by Islam, by and large, but it wasn't a walk. He didn't walk over Dustin. Okay, there was work to be done there, and he took some damage. Now, I don't want to go too long about this, so I'm going to wrap it up shortly. Can Islam take him down? I'm going to say yes, and I think Islam's going to do it in round one. He's going to shoot in round one. Maybe he doesn't get the takedown, but he's going to work the takedown in round one. That's what Bilal Muhammad didn't do. He let round one slide without much wrestling. Islam is going to shoot in round one. I promise you guys that he will shoot in round one. And if he misses or not, he's going to go up to the judo. He's eventually going to lock his arms, or he's going to tie up the upper body. He's going to shoot if JDM sprawls, which I'm sure he will. Makhachev is going to go up to that clinched upper body throws, and he's got phenomenal judo throws. He's going to combine wrestling and judo together, and I think he's going to get the fight to the ground. Maybe not in round one, but he will eventually get the fight to the ground. And I will tell you that I think that Makhachev can get a submission. Absolutely. He's going to be very difficult to scrabble out from under. We saw JDM get taken down over and over again by Dorino and sorry, not Dorino, excuse me, Gilbert Burns. By Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns was able to control him quite well until we all saw that at the end, the last minute left, JDM scores a beautiful knee, drops Gilbert Burns, and just finishes him. I think it's going to be very difficult to do that, Makhachev. Makhachev is a very good gut wrencher. He's a very good pinner. He's eventually going to work to a head and arm type of choke. Either Dars, either Anaconda, either Katakatami arm triangle. He's going to find an arm triangle, and he's going to put the squeeze on JDM. and it's going to be all she wrote. Guys, that's my opinion on the fight. I think Makhachev wins. I'm giving this a 55-45. Okay, so I'm giving quite a chunk here to Makhachev. I'm going to open it up now to questions and comments only about this one fight. Nothing else, friends. Nothing else. Please do not talk about anything else. I'm not changing subject until we've thoroughly done this fight. Okay, guys, we have some super chats. I'm doing super chats and non-super chats as always. Guys, also, before I start that, I want to give congratulations to Coach Zahabi, my brother, who won 2 weeks ago in Vancouver. Congratulations to him. He won a split decision against Chito Vera, and also Manon Fario, who also trained with us, prepped with us. She did a phenomenal training camp. Both of them trained side by side. Both of them got the victory. Manon won by TKO in round 1. Congratulations to both of them. That's why I haven't been doing podcasts. I've been crazy jet lagged. I've been traveling nonstop. I'm planning to make it up to you guys. I plan to do maybe 2 podcasts this week, so don't hold my feet to the fire. This is number 1 of maybe 2 podcasts this week. I'm going to try to catch up because I know I'm behind on podcasts. Okay, this one is from Rob. I rewatched JDM versus Bilal and thought Islam had great chance to land on Jack, but as the round built up, Jack gained confidence and went into flow. Part 2. Bilal put himself into the fire to try to land, which I don't think Islam will do. Suspect chin and higher weight class. I can see a decision. Guys, that's from Rob. Rob is saying that Islam's gonna... I rewatched JDM versus Bilal and thought Islam had great chance to land on Jack, but as the rounds built up, Jack gained confidence and went into flow. Okay, so he's comparing the Bilal Muhammad fight to what he thinks he's going to see in the Makhachev JDM fight. And then he continues, he says, Bilal pulled himself into the fire to try to land, which I don't think Islam will do. Okay, so what does it mean, put him into fire? He's going to try to get close, get in the boxing range, put that guy in a close-up range, like in a phone booth range, and mix it up with him so you can grab his legs. Okay, so he's saying Islam's not going to do that because he has a suspect chin, he's saying, and it's a higher weight class. I can see a decision. Okay, well, look, I'll tell you something. I think Islam's going to shoot more single legs, so you could shoot from further out. And from the single leg, he's going to eventually shoot to switch off to a double leg somehow. Okay, so usually when you have a single leg, guys, you can't finish with one leg. You can, technically you can, but it's not really seen at the highest levels. When I have a single leg, I run the pipe, I off-balance the guy, and I have to somehow make contact with the second leg. Like I tell my students, I always tell my students, if you're holding on to one leg, you have 0. I always tell my students, if I have a single leg, I have 0 until I make contact somehow, some way with the other leg. A good athlete generally doesn't go down when you're attacking one leg. You have to somehow, if you notice, almost all single leg finishes, almost all, require you to make contact with the second leg, the supporting leg. You have to trip it, you have to trap it, you have to connect your hands over that leg. Somehow, some way, you have to connect your body to that leg. You have to have control of both legs, and then you can make him fall. Guys, I have a great single leg made easy video. Make sure to check that out. I have a single leg defense video made easy. It's a super well done video. I've been doing single leg for 20 plus years. I train it on a regular basis. I know the ins and outs of single leg. I'm telling you, Islam Makhachev has a crazy good single leg. He's going to shoot a single. He's a southpaw, don't forget. JDM switches, but when they're both in open stance, it's easier to grab the single leg than a double. He's going to shoot a variety of both, but early on, I think he's going to shoot single legs, and he's going to reach for the upper body, and he's going to work that judo and in combination. The reason... Guys, I'm just doing JDM and Makhachev. All right, guys, just JDM. I'm looking for JDM and Islam Makhachev questions. So excited to see Islam go up in weight and challenge for the belt. That's from Joe. Joe, me too, man. This is the fight of the year. This is the most anticipated fight of the year in my book. Islam's striking is underrated. Jack is Australian and Islam is Russian. Bears would wreck a kangaroo. John JC says, look, you got to go to the national animal, and that's going to tell you the story. Now, the Canadian animal is the beaver. We love the beaver and the moose. So, we're down the food chain in this regard. Because JDM handled Bilal fairly easily. That's from Dana Haynes. He says, okay, he handled him fairly easily. I think it was a competitive fight, but I can see that, there was a good margin for JDM nonetheless. Okay, let me see here. I had a good question. Okay, I had a JDM question and it skipped on me. Give me 1 second. Will Islam be the GOAT of UFC if he wins against JDM? That's from Ahmed. Ahmed, I'll tell you something. He would definitely be. Will that make him the GOAT? Yeah, it could possibly make him the GOAT. Why? Because you combine that with his win streak. It'll make him 16-fight win streak. Now, if he goes on and he beats Taporia, then there's no doubt. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Okay, but it's a tall order of fights, guys. He's still got to beat JDM, but it's very possible. It's within range. Because that is incredible. Honestly, 16-fight win streak. If he wins this fight, that's a big if, he'll be 2-division champ with the longest win streak in UFC history. Incredible. Guys, I'm only doing JDM questions, friends. I'm the one who's supposed to have CTE, not you guys. If you had to argue that JDM would win, what would your argument be? That's from 9bit9. I would tell you, look, he could do a win by 1,000 paper cuts. If somehow, some way, he can stuff every takedown of Makhachev. I just don't see that happening. I think Islam slips one past the goalie eventually and gets him on the ground. And if he gets him on the ground, it's going to be pain and suffering on the side of JDM and also finishes. Guys, I'm a big believer in Makhachev's ability to finish. He could do arm bars. He could do head and arm chokes. He could do a rear naked choke. Like, he's a much more sophisticated finisher than a lot of guys JDM's ever seen. Actually, everybody JDM's ever seen. So it's not a question of Sambo or Jiu-Jitsu. The guy's just been doing MMA for so long and he's tightened up his finishing game so much. That's a major threat. If this guy takes you down once, it might be the end of the night. It's a serious threat. So you asked me to make a case for JDM, and of course there is one. I would say JDM's got to stay low. He's got to stop every takedown at all costs. He's got to maybe risk the flying knee later in the rounds, like late in the rounds. There's only a minute left. So even if he gets taken down, hey, you know what? I could survive for a minute. But if he gets taken down too early in a round, it could be all she wrote. So I would say, look, he's got to defend takedowns, do high-risk stuff near the end of the round, and stay low, man. Don't let Makhachev touch your legs. If Makhachev touches your legs, you might end up on your back. And if you end up on your back, it could be a long night. Guys, if JDM gets his back taken, it could be all she wrote. You know, I know you're going to be like, Volkanovski stopped his subs. Yeah, Volkanovski's short and stout. It's not impossible to stop his submissions. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I think Volk is much more defensively sound and resistant to submissions and more proven on the ground than a JDM. Okay, now JDM might be on his way to becoming, very impervious on the ground, but I don't think he's there yet. Volkanovski has a lot more experience, I think, on the ground. Bilal didn't wrestle JDM and got into a striking contest with JDM. Islam is too smart for that. He will mix up the striking with takedowns and eventually submit JDM. That's from Punit. Punit, I have to agree with you on some extent. Bilal didn't shoot as much as we all thought he was gonna. He didn't shoot in round 1, minute 1. He didn't set up a takedown. He played with this. He played with fire. And, it's a game. Sometimes you got to come up with an interesting strategy. You can't just be predictive. You can't be so obvious. Maybe he felt, hey, that's too obvious. Maybe JDM's going to be waiting for me with a flying knee or something. I wasn't part of his training camp, so I don't know. But Islam is going to shoot round 1, minute 1. And he knows about the knee. He knows about the uppercuts. He knows all about that. He knows about the guillotines. He has a way. He has a confidence that he could avoid that using timing. Is JDM the next generation of MMA? It just skipped on me. Can you believe it? Why does it do that? I don't think JDM is the next evolution of MMA. I think he's a modern MMA fighter, but in the next evolution, they're going to do it all, okay? Here's one thing we're not worried about. JDM scoring double legs and finding a sub. If he was the next generation, he'd have a more sophisticated game. Right now, JDM is a boxer who knows how to defend takedowns, and if you get him on the ground, he's good at getting back up. He's not a complete fighter, okay? He's a great fighter. He's a champion. He's a great fighter. Don't misquote me here. Don't misunderstand me. But the evolution, the next generation, they're going to be doing it all. They're going to be a threat everywhere. They can armbar you. They can choke you. They can back kick you. They can flying knee you. They can snap you down into a guillotine. They can wrestle you to the ground. They don't just play defense. Okay, so ultimately speaking, no, I couldn't say that this is the next evolution. Coach Big John couldn't disagree about Islam not beating Khabib's record in lightweight, even if he gets past it because of his 1 KO loss. How good is Khabib, everyone? Question mark. Oh, this is from Shiz, guys, by the way. When Islam gets the second, he is past Khabib. Thoughts? No, I think he'd surpass Khabib. If he wins the welterweight title, I think we have to say he's... Because that one loss, look, could happen to anybody. You know, and you could argue that, I wouldn't argue this, but you can argue that Khabib lost a fight that he should, you know, he lost one fight. A lot of people thought he should have went the other way. I'm forgetting the name of his opponent, the big Jack wrestler. He couldn't take him down. His only fight, Khabib didn't get the fight to the ground. I don't think so. I think Khabib won because he was on the offense, etc. It's hard to say. Look, for me, I think Khabib is number one. If Islam wins the middleweight division and somehow, some way is able to make it back down to 155 and win the lightweight title, he's for sure the best lightweight ever. If he does that, that's a long order, because I think now that he went up, I don't think he ever comes back down to make 155. I think they're going to have to throw so much money at him. It's going to have to be for Ilia Topuria at 155. It's going to have to be such a mega fight. It's not going to be just come back down and defend your title. No. It's going to have to be a mega fight at the White House, because there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering to make back at that weight. And even then, if he makes it back to 155, there's no guarantee his performance is going to be like it used to. So if he ends his career the way it is, I still have Khabib as number one, but not because of that one loss, just because of how dominant Khabib was. Hey, Faraz, do you think having Greg Jones in JDM's corner would help? And the low stance would likely keep him open for knees. What are your thoughts on this? That's from Vaseline. Vaseline, for sure, having Craig Jones in his corner is going to help. He's going to help him avoid takedowns. It's going to help him get back to the ground. Get off the ground, I should say. He's going to help him avoid submissions as well. That's for sure. Definitely a major help. Islam Makhachev, you're so correct. Islam Makhachev has a great Muay Thai plum. What's a Muay Thai plum? For those of you who don't know, it's when you grab somebody behind the head. Okay, in traditional Muay Thai, you're allowed to grab a guy behind the head, lock him up with two hands behind his head like so, pull his head down and knee him. Knee him to the body, knee him to the face. Islam Makhachev has used this maneuver multiple times. So the catch-22 is if you stand really low to avoid his takedowns, he kind of punches into a plum, a Muay Thai plum, and it's a very scary maneuver, because if you catch somebody with a knee from the Muay Thai plum, because he's pulling on your head and kneeing you in the opposite direction, there's a counter pressure there. It's devastating. You'll knock a guy out. You'll break his nose. You'll hurt the guy. You saw him hurt Poirier like this. And Poirier is a tough guy. He takes the biggest shots from the toughest guys. And this is what you could see damaged him. So yes, this is a major problem for JDM. JDM has to be careful for the Muay Thai plum. Volk is Australia's greatest wrestler, and brother, Australia don't have wrestling. That's from Azan. Guys, for those of you who don't know, Islam Makhachev is the funniest UFC fighter ever. Why? He's not trying to be funny. He just says one-liners that are hilarious, and they always start with the word brother. Volk was like, in the interview with, I can't remember who, when the journalist had both Volkanovski and Makhachev on the same segment. So he was going back and forth between both of them. They could both hear each other. And Volkanovski was like, I've been wrestling in the worst position, getting put in the worst positions. I've been doing 35 minutes with the best grapplers, the best wrestlers, the best. And he went on how prepared he is for the wrestling and submission attacks. And Islam Makhachev is like, brother, Australia don't have wrestling. He comes from the Russian, Eastern, Dagestani block of wrestling. Like the guy you never heard of is one of the best in the world. Like they're all a room of Michael Jordans. You're talking to him about an Australian wrestling room. Australia doesn't fare well in the wrestling and the Olympics. Okay, so just to tell you guys, of course, Australia has much better wrestling than it used to, but it's getting there. And of course, they have great MMA, fantastic MMA. But when it comes to specifically wrestling, you can't compare the Eastern Bloc. You can't compare the Russians, the Dagestanis with Australia. Okay, the most winningest country in wrestling is Russia. Then there's other countries. Okay, America, Iran, etc. Australia is not in the discussion. So Islam is just there. He's like, brother. brother, Australia don't have wrestling. It's true in a way. Not to put down the Australians, okay? I'm sure they're not as good as wrestling because they're not that interested in it. They're interested in other sports, including MMA, okay? They're great at MMA. It's like if Islam's saying, I'm playing rugby every day. I'm in the rugby, the best rugby guys we got here all day long. He's going to be like, hey, man, you guys mean nothing in rugby. Pakistan means nothing in rugby to us, because Australia's rugby is so powerful. It was hilarious because of the delivery, because he always says, brother. I find him quite hilarious. Hold on, let me find a video. Of him. Hold on. I'm telling you, Islam Makhachev is the most comedic fighter without even trying. I'm sure somebody's made a collage. Hold on. Islam Makhachev. All I'm going to write is brother. Makhachev. Brother. How could I spell brother? B-A-D-I-H. Okay, brother. I'm going to misspell brother. Brother. Oh, yeah, here it is. That's one. There's got to be a compilation. Come on. Somebody's got to have done it. Hold on. Let me put the word in funny. Islam Makhachev funny. Okay, here we go.
I don't know.
I think he took you down.
He took me
like
down
3
yes.
times.
No, 1 time, man. No. Watch the fight. You never watch my fight.
I watch your fights all the time.
3 times, nobody, brother. Even you, Nick, you cannot take me down 3 times, brother.
Take me down 3 times. Many times.
No, it's not true.
Why they kick him out like this? Crazy. Why they do this to my guy?
I don't know.
What is this number 1?
Yeah, just to note, Islam Makhachev's only been taken down 1 time in his career, and it was from Armin Sakurian. That was a dialogue with DC. DC's like, he's taking you down. He took you down 3 times in the fight. No. Islam is saying, not even in the practice room do I get taken down 3 times, let alone in a fight. He's been taken down officially in UFC 1 time. Now, I think Volkanovski had him on his back, but I don't know if the UFC counted that as a takedown. Islam Makhachev shot on Volkanovski in round 5, and he kind of stumbled after he got punched as he was shooting, and he fell to his guard and was on his back. The fight, if I remember correctly, ended with Makhachev on his back. I don't know if they counted that as a takedown.
Bullshit, disrespect.
Brother, I understand if they kick you out from this emergency because you're so big, maybe.
Don't do that. Don't be disrespectful. Don't be disrespectful. Habib told me, he said he's here. He told me to tell you guys, get ready.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna smash you guys.
Yes. Maybe you can come join for us. Just control him a little bit. Because he don't listen, Javier. I always tell Javier, you're the head coach. You're older than him.
Crazy.
Stop him.
No, he is just a psychopath. Nobody can control him.
Come, maybe you.
I can't control it. You know I can't control it.
Try.
I'm telling you, this Makhachev is the funniest UFC fighter interviewer ever. Why? He's not even trying to be funny. He's just such a hilarious guy. He's always, brother. He sees things that's so simple. It's hilarious. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, guys, 73% of you have Islam Makhachev winning. Wow. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. Guys, don't forget, I'm only doing Makhachev versus JDM. How long have we been going now? Hold on, let me see here. Let me see, what's the time here? It doesn't show. I don't know why it's not ticking away. It usually tells me how much time. That's weird. All right, what else we got here? Della Maddalena is the best boxer in UFC. That's from Arabica. Arabica, I disagree. I think it's Topuria. After Topuria, I would agree with you. Yes, it should go to Maddalena. But Topuria is without a doubt the number 1 puncher and boxer in UFC. With Cormier, it cracks me up. Haha, brother, good dude. Russia always been crazy at wrestling. That's from 33-3. Yeah, their dialogues with DC, Khabib, DC, and Islam Makhachev, their back and forth are hilarious. I love it. Honestly, they're too funny. Why is Aspinall getting more flack than Gane? Guys, that's a good question. Guys, I was there. I saw the eye poke. It was horrific. I don't know how anybody could blame Aspinall. And fighters are even blaming Aspinall. Come on, fighters should know better than everybody else. It's the worst foul. I think Gane should be the one who's taking the heat for this. Did you see the eye poke? Two fingers, one in each eye. It was ridiculous. I don't care how tough you are. If I poke you in the eye, you can't see, it's over. It's over. Weight class doesn't matter. You can take a small guy who pokes a big guy in the eye, and the fight is over. You know, Bruce Lee said the smartest thing. He's like, look, I only need one move. In real fighting, I only need one move. The finger eye jab. I'll jab a man in the eye. That's it. That's the only move. I don't need a back kick. I don't need a spinning whatever. I don't need a heel hook. I don't need a knee. I don't need an elbow. I don't need this or that. All I need is to be the best guy at jabbing somebody in the eye because nobody could resist such a maneuver. Nobody could resist. And I got to say, I totally agree with him. Why? I've been poked in the eye and I told myself, wow, man, if this was a real fight, I don't know what I could do. Like, I'm blind here. I don't know why I'm in so much pain. Now, of course, you can try to fight on and all that, but you might go blind. It's a crazy instance that everybody's blaming. So many people are blaming Aspinall. This is not Aspinall's fault at all. And I can't believe that some fighters are blaming Aspinall, saying he gave up. Are you kidding me, man? That's insane. The toughest guys have stopped fights. Henry Cejudo, Bilal Muhammad, because of eye pokes. Now Aspinall, and we can name others. Eye pokes make a massive difference. And I think personally that if you poke somebody in the eye, we check the replay, you should lose a point. If it affects the fight, you should lose a point and part of your purse. We should make the rules so strict. Then all the eye pokes are going to disappear. Because all the fighters are like, if I poke him in the eye, they'll just give me a warning. There's got to be something more at risk for the fighter. Did Pereira quit? Pereira has a good chance in the heavyweight. That's from Rob. Rob, I don't think Pereira has a good chance at heavyweight, and I don't think Aspinall quit. I know a lot of people are saying that. I find that ridiculous. I think he got poked in the eye viciously. From what I understand, the man still can't see, and I hope his vision comes back. I hope his health is on track to make a full recovery, because that's really something serious. You know, losing your eye, goodness gracious, losing part of your vision. It was vicious, the eye poke. I don't think it was intentional, but it was a vicious eye poke. I can't believe people are criticizing him. The man was badly eye poked. This is not like a little... And I understand the fight was competitive, so people are like, oh, he's trying to make his way out. No, I don't think so at all. The fight was competitive. Tom was there every step of the way. Gane was there every step of the way. It was a good fight. The eye poke happened. The eye poke was not a small eye poke. This was a viciously... I don't know how to describe it. It was such a violent eye poke. It doesn't surprise me at all that he can't continue. All right, guys. With that said, I'm going to open it up to Ask Me Anything. And we can talk about any other fights, fitness, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, philosophy. Go ahead, guys. Ask me any question you like. I'm open to super chats as well. Can Islam get the darts considering his wide shoulders? That's from Never Ever. Yes, I think Islam, if he gets JDM on the ground, he could darts him. No doubt. I have not even the slightest doubt that he can do it. And of course, Greg Jones is working with him on darts defense, etc. So there could be a back and forth here. But can it happen? Yes, he's got the reach. Makhachev's got the reach and the squeezing power. Now, is it going to happen? That's another question. I'm very sure they're prepping for Darce escape. No doubt. Met Islam and Chanko 2 days ago. Cool dudes. That's from Jihad. Jihad, I've met Islam. I've never met Chanko, but yeah, very nice guy. For us, Tom is very overrated. His striking is nowhere near Alex. That's from Persia. Persian top G. Aspinall's way bigger. He's going to take him down. I really think he gets him down on the ground. If he fights Pereira, I don't think it would stay standing for too long. Do you think heel hooks can work Dagestani wrestling? Umar almost got caught in one. That's from Joe Smith. Yeah, that was a deep toe hold. Yes, absolutely, it can work. It's just not easy to do. Like submitting a very high caliber grappler is not an easy thing to do. But definitely, leg locks, I really think are great against dominant wrestlers. I use them all the time. When I go with a guy and I know he's a strong wrestler, I always attack the legs. Always. The heel hooks, the toe holds. Because I know they can't sprawl against it. When they sprawl, it gives me even stronger grips. So I really like that kind of style. Coach, I love stability ball. Thank you for recommending. That's from Andrew Smart. Andrew Smart, enjoy. You are a very smart guy, Andrew Smart. Tom Aspinall is not Kamzat. England don't have wrestling. That's from Persian Top G. Persian Top G, of course, a great wrestler, I'm sure. You're right. England doesn't have top wrestling, but in MMA, they're very sophisticated. So maybe they don't compete in wrestling and do well in wrestling as a sport itself, but definitely the MMA competitors have adopted wrestling and practice it religiously. Coach Zahabi, is it legal for JDM to cram a ton of Vaseline in his wrist into his glove to counter Islam's cheating hooking fingers in glove against the cage? That's from Kelvin C. Okay, so you're saying that, look, Islam Makhachev grabs the glove when he's doing his haragoshi on the fence. Yes, he does. He does, guys. He's not the only one, okay? Many UFC fighters do it. It's illegal. You're not supposed to do it. Can he stop it by putting Vaseline in his glove? No, because if he gets caught putting Vaseline in his glove, believe me when I tell you, he'll get like a major fine. He'll get suspended. He'll get a point deducted even before the fight starts. Like, I don't know what they will do to him, but it won't be good. Coach, have you seen Muay Thai guys from one? That seems much faster than UFC fights. That's from Dean Nicolaj. I watch those those 1FC fights all the time. They have 1FC with MMA gloves. So it's Muay Thai fights with MMA gloves. I love those fights. I watch them all the time. I'm hooked. It's a great sport. It's fascinating to me. And yes, those guys are killers. They're killers, man. Killers, like studs. But they don't do any wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But imagine they had wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Ooh, it would be interesting. It would be really interesting to see them go up against really good MMA fighters. As a day one BJJ goer, how sore does it make you? I want to balance it with weights and not burn out, but maximize classes. Daily class, too optimistic? ? That's from Rob. Rob, I would tell you, go do the technique portion and don't do the rolling portion. Okay, so I would tell the instructor, look, I'm really new. I do a lot of lifting on the side. I just want to drill, and after a few months of drilling, I'll try rolling. So I wouldn't, because, jiu-jitsu class is drilling and then rolling. I wouldn't do any rolling at first. So I would do a basics course. I would just do the drilling. I would go home and note it down. I would get comfortable about how to move my body in jiu-jitsu and in wrestling. Then after a few months of drilling, would I roll? Why? You're more likely to get injured rolling. You're more likely to waste your time because you're just squeezing heads. You don't know anything you don't know how to play the game. Okay, think about it. If we're playing chess, wouldn't you want to learn how to move all the chess pieces first before you started playing? Of course you would. It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu, except there's not 20 or 30 pieces, whatever it is. There's 700 pieces. Okay, so you need to learn about 100 moves before you start learning. And if you're not in a rush to get good, I think that's the right way to do it. Why? You won't get injured. Okay, and you can keep up your lifting routine. So I personally, like, tonight I rolled already today. I did technique. I rolled. I'm very jet lagged. I've been traveling too much. That's why I haven't been doing my podcast the last couple of weeks. I wanted to do it on the road. I didn't have the energy. My schedule was so busy. It was crazy. But now I'm back to my routine. I rolled this morning. I drilled and I rolled. Now tonight, I'm just going to drill. I'm not going to roll. I'm going to drill and do weights. Why? My body needs a break, So I would tell you, drill. I never miss drilling. Drilling is my favorite part, and not my favorite part, but it's a part I never have an excuse to miss, and I don't want to miss it. Now, rolling is a separate thing. Sometimes I feel good, I roll. I roll extra. If I don't feel good, I roll a little bit. If I don't feel good enough, I don't roll at all. I just do weights, abs, neck, whatever. So don't feel compelled that you have to roll. Coach, I'm starting a new job in 2 weeks at the local hospital. What advice would you give starting out and making a good impression? That's from Pierce. Pierce, that's a good question. I would tell you, look, when you go into work, be friendly, be kind, have good bedside manner. A lot of people in the hospital, they're having a serious life-threatening illness or injury or whatnot. I think bedside manner is super important. I've been at the hospital where I think the staffs, a lot of them were really good, but once in a while you get somebody who's very callous or, to them it's just a piece of meat. That person is just a piece of meat. I think it's a really important thing to have good bedside manner, and of course, do your job amazingly. Guys, don't forget, the way you do anything is how you do everything. You got to do your job in an excellent fashion. You have to show competence in your job. Why? Number one, if you're an excellent person, if you're a pursuit of excellence, you do everything well. Everything. I don't care if it's driving your car. I don't care if it's sweeping on the floor. I don't care if it's playing video games. You have to make excellence a habit, because it takes less energy to do it perfectly than to do it wrong. Doing it wrong always costs more energy in the long run. Once you adopt this idea, every piece in your life will start to reflect excellence. I have a Muay Thai exhibition and run 3 miles 5 times a week and do air bike sprints 3 times. Should I do my sprints as runs instead? How would you structure? That's from Alakazam. Alakazam, the long runs is only for losing weight. Okay, I have a really good video on this. It's called Strong and Stable Running. If you have to lose weight, do the long runs. If you don't have to lose weight, the long runs, in my opinion, are not needed. Okay, I train countless professional fighters, and I don't use long runs with the vast majority of them. Okay, the only ones I do long runs with is the guys who have to lose weight. If you don't have to lose weight, I like what you're doing, air bike and running, and I would interchange them. If you're used to air bike and running, you can interchange them. See how you feel. Should you do air sprint run intervals, or should you do running intervals? I'll tell you the difference, okay? Running intervals, you could do less often. Why? It's harder on the body. The impact on the ground is harder on the body, but it's better for explosiveness. Air bike is very gentle on the joints, but you don't have that explosiveness. So there's a pros and cons in both. So I would tell you, interchange them and don't make such a big deal out of it. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing both of them regularly, you're going to be just as explosive as you can be, and you're going to have the endurance that you can have. Okay, so don't over think it. Okay, when you feel fresh, do the sprints. When you feel less fresh, use the air bike. That's what the air bike is for. Because the air bike, you can get as many calories per minute as a sprint, but it's much more gentle on the knees. It's easier to recover from an air bike workout than from a sprinting workout. So if you're feeling run down, don't sprint. Use the air bike. Coach, long time no see. Prime Ibn Taymiyyah versus Al-Ghazali. Not just in a religion, but in philosophy and logic too. Who do you think was superior? That's from Yahya. Yahya, you're going to get me in so much trouble. Guys, I got to wear my hoodie because I'm a little bit chilly. Okay. I would pick Ghazali, to be honest with you. I love Ibn Taymiyyah as well, but I think he was too rigid. Or at least his interpreters, his followers, are too rigid. And we need somebody rigid, because the thing is, you get these woke thinkers, these progressive guys, and they want to change everything, and they want to make everything watered down, and they want to just kind of just make things, they want to dilute things. So I understand, we need an Ibn Taymiyyah, we need him. But I think Imam Ghazali was more open-minded. I think he was far more open-minded. I remember Imam Ghazali, he said something. He said, how could I disagree with somebody if I don't fully understand their position? So Muslim philosophers were dismissing certain positions, certain worldviews, but he's like, they don't even really know what the guy's trying to say. How could they refute him if they didn't immerse themselves? They didn't become a student of the guy. They didn't learn that guy's point of view and then cross-examine him and have a dialogue with him and disprove him, etc. Ghazali was far more lenient, open-minded. And also Ghazali found music to be permissible, which I find makes total sense. Because what's inherently wrong with music? He says, look, Ghazali said something brilliant. Said, if music is haram, somebody tell the songbird, because God made the songbird, and the bird sings and is beautiful to our ears. So he's saying, look, it's the content of the music, not music itself. Okay, so if you're listening to gangster rap and it's telling you shoot, lie, cheat, steal, sell cocaine, run amok, take these girls and sell them. That's okay. That's haram for sure. No doubt. But if the lyrics are positive, uplifting, and halal, what's wrong with it? So I know they're gonna go to hadith, but I think he would question those hadith. He wasn't an expert in hadith, and he didn't put as much reliance on hadith. Okay, so I'm much more Ghazalian in my thinking to say that, and I found his approach to be more. And don't get me wrong, he was super strict in many ways as well. But I found his approach to be more adaptive to the times. As time passes, Ghazali's ideas seem to be more fitting, whereas Ibn Taymiyyah, I think, was too rigid. Okay, now that's just my opinion. My opinion means nothing. Okay, so I just prefer and had a greater connection to Ghazalian thinking. My shoulder pops out of the socket from time to time when sparring or doing jiu-jitsu. So any advice? That's from Jihad. Jihad, I'll tell you, if you're having chronic dislocation of the shoulder, that's the time to go get an MRI and see a specialist. Okay, so for me, I always tell people, look, in my Strong and Stable program, if you have a lingering injury that's more than 6 months, go see the professionals. Okay, but if it's not, if like your shoulder's sore and it's been a week, don't go see a professional. It's not time. Use a Strong and Stable shoulder program. Take care of your shoulder. Follow the rules. It should go away. If after 6 months, because if you go to a doctor and you tell him, oh, my shoulder's been hurting for 2 weeks, he doesn't know what to do with you. He's like, hey, man, it's only 2 weeks. So maybe no, I hurt myself wrestling. Well, maybe if you just rest for a week or two, it's going to get better. He's not going to go send you for an MRI. Okay? So it's not necessarily intelligent to go see a doctor. Why? Because if you do jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, guys, you're going to have injuries. It's just part of it. Okay? You're going to toughen up here. We're going to get... It's not a big deal. Okay? Now, you're having numerous dislocations. That's something that's beyond just rehab or prehab. Okay? You need to go see a specialist. You might have a torn labrum. You might have a tendon issue, a ligament issue, I should say. You might have something fundamentally wrong that an MRI and a specialist is going to be able to figure out. So this is something you have to go and see a specialist for. I have some footage from a Muay Thai smoker I did yesterday. Is there any way I can send it to you for some pointers? That's from Jihad. Jihad, the one way you could do it is post it up on YouTube right now and put AMA, what was it today? AMA, whatever the number AMA this is today, 200, I think 18 or whatever it is. AMA 218, Coach Zahabi. Like put a can't miss title so I can find it. Okay. I'm unhappy with my weightlifting progress strength-wise. I have improved my physique and athleticism, but the weight just don't increase on my lifts. Is that inconsistent diet / lifting / sleep? That's from Azan. Azan, I will tell you, you've hit a plateau, which is very normal. It's very, very normal. Now, I don't know exactly what lifts you're talking about, but I would tell you, try doing a variety of the lifts. So let's say your bench stalled. Go to dumbbell bench press. Forget bench press, the barbell. Go to dumbbell. And if you're doing dumbbell on a regular basis, okay, go to incline or do one arm dumbbell on the stability ball. Like change it up. Attack the same muscle group in a different way. And always do the opposite. So if your bench press stalled, go on the T-bar and do a progressive overload on the T-bar. So work the T-bar more. And once you build a stronger back, when you do your bench press, your back muscles now are going to support your bench press. You can have a nice firm grounding to push off even more than usual. Again, I'm just using bench press as a example. If your bench press is stalled, go to one arm push-ups. Add variety. Do ring push-ups. Grab a bunch of rings. Add variety. When you hit a plateau, now is the time to surprise your body in a new way. Do that for a couple of months and then go through a new bench cycle, and I bet you break through your plateau. Okay. So again, I just use bench press as an example. It could be anything. It could be your deadlift that's stalled. It could be your pull-up record that's stalled, whatever it may be. Now's the time to add variety. What I find ridiculous is people who add too much variety. Like every day they're doing a different exercise. It's like, wait a second, man. Like how many pull-ups did you do last month and how many can you do now? Like pick one exercise, get good at it, hit a plateau, and then add some variety. That's what variety is there for, to break through plateaus. The key is not to do every possible exercise under the sun. No, it's to break records with one exercise And then when you plateau, add a variant. A variant. When Mike Tyson eventually dies, will his death have the same impact on the world as Muhammad Ali's death? That's from John J.C. Personally, I don't think so, because Muhammad Ali had a very political message in a time where there was a lot of human rights disagreements. Okay, let's call it that. There was a lot of Jim Crow laws, still in our culture, in the culture, I should say. There was still a lot of racist. There still is racist thinking, but there was more racist thinking. There was still more segregation. If the right word, I think, would be segregation. And Muhammad Ali was aware of that. He wasn't just a knucklehead boxer. He was aware of that, and he was vocal about it in a very sophisticated and articulate way. Now, Mike Tyson's no dummy. He's a smart guy. He's an intelligent guy, but he's more of a boxing scholar. When you talk to him about fighting, he'll tell you about all the great fights in history and who did what and who punched who. But he's not very savvy political-wise. So Ali's voice and message was far more reaching. He was far more reaching. He was a much greater ambassador for the black cause than is Mike Tyson. So for that, Muhammad Ali will always have the leg up. Always. Jordan Kamal says, "Hi coach, I'm an amateur fighter and I just lost a brutal knockout. I was doing well, then made a split-second wrong decision and lights out. What advice do you give fighters to come back better and stronger?" That's from Jordan. Jordan, I got to tell you, it can happen, believe me, to the best fighters. Okay, I just had a fighter recently suffer a KO, and it's really a tough place to be. Okay, but one thing, look, you gotta always think positive. In my opinion, first is your health. Is your health good? Okay, if your health is good, we're gonna go, get checked up. We're gonna get a scan and make sure the doctor says we're fine, and we're gonna rebuild back slowly. But a knockout, I always say, can do two things. One, it can make you very scared, or it can make you very wise. Okay? You want to be the guy who becomes very wise. Why? You're going to figure out why you got knocked out, what you did wrong, what rule you broke. You might not know the answer to those questions. And look, you can follow all the rules. Mistakes happen. Anybody can get KO'd anytime. Anybody makes a wrong step and the wrong decision. You should have zigged when you zagged, etc. There's always a possibility of being laid out. Trust me, the top fighters, when they go out there, they're just as nervous as everybody else. Okay, some are more confident than others, but they're all nervous. Why? We all know that sometimes things happen and the cookie crumbled a certain way and you're on the wrong end and you're flat out on the mat. I've seen it time and time again. It happens. Now, do you want to define yourself with one moment in your entire career? Is that my whole career forever? No, it's not. So we got to see it as one chapter in a long book. And you could turn a negative into a positive if you rebuild yourself. And that experience makes you wiser because you're more careful. And it ups your training. You never want that to happen again, right? So you up your training. You seek new methods. You seek new training protocols. And you go back and you perform better than ever. Now, that part of your story now makes your turnaround more interesting. Like if you look at my brother, Ayman Zahabi. He got knocked out in 2017 with a spinning back elbow. Brutal knockout, okay? He came back to win 7 fights in a row, which is the second most winningest fight for a Canadian after George St. Pierre. So George St. Pierre has 13 fights in a row. And Ayman Zahabi is the second most winning Canadian ever, win streak. 7 fights in a row. I think about how many UFC fighters win 7 fights in a row. It's statistically, I would say, like 1%. Let me look that up, okay? Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what AI can do for me. Let's see if we can get a number here. Okay, it's just giving me a list of people who won fights, but it's not giving me a percentage. But I would tell you, look, the percentage is really small. It's tough, okay? It's a really, because, you got so many killers. Like, even the top guys, they win 3, 4, 5 in a row, then they drop one, then they win 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. There's guys, I know there's plenty of guys with long win streaks, okay? The longest ever is 16. But for me, a long win streak, I would tell you, is like 4 fights in a row, you're cooking, man. 5 fights in UFC is crazy. 5 fights in a row, like, you're named. Like, you're like, you're up there. You're a dangerous guy. Some guys have 12, 13. It's incredible, okay? But you can get knocked out and go on a win streak. And then that knockout it makes your win streak even more interesting. Why? Because look how far away you were, So what I'm trying to say is that that event can have a different outlook in the future, depending on what happens in the future. Okay, so I like to always take a negative and try to turn it into a positive, So one, let it push you to become wiser. Let it push you to train better, train new methods, train with new tactics. And hopefully it helps you rebuild. Coach, what are your thoughts on Mamdani? That's from YouTube commenter. Guys, I haven't heard much about. I'm not a political expert, but I love the fact that I saw that viral video where they're asking these politicians, what's the first country you're going to visit when you leave, if you win office, if you become the mayor of New York? Everybody's like, I'm going to go to Israel. Oh, I'm going to go to Israel. Oh, first place, Israel. 7th trip to Israel. 3rd trip to Israel. I'm going to go to Israel and I'm going to straight fly to Israel. I'm running to Israel. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here. I'm the mayor of New York. Why do I have to go to another country? Boom. Everybody was like, we love this guy. These guys were kissing ass. They're such ass kissers because they want that AIPAC money. They're like, hey, AIPAC, are you listening? I'm going to go and kiss the flag. I'm going to go bow down. I'm going to go crawl on my hands and knees. And you're going to pay me and I'm going to take that money. Oh, the money's so delicious. It's so good. And I'm going to do whatever. I'm your puppet. And this guy slapped them all in the face. Mamdani, man. Mamdani's the man. Just because of that one answer, he's got my vote. Not that I'm a New Yorker and I can vote or anything, but he would have my vote. I was like, this guy's saying he's going to stay here and solve our problems. He's not going to get AIPAC money. Guys, if anybody out there takes AIPAC money, I think you shouldn't vote for them. Why? Because they work for a foreign government. They have interests of a foreign government in mind. No foreign government should be bribing your politicians. That's treason. That's treason. You shouldn't take 1 penny from a foreign entity. Not even 1 penny. And these guys are openly saying, I'm going to run. I'm going to run for those donations. Dude, you're kidding me, man. I love this Mamdani guy. I love it. I love what he did. OAM won 8 in a row for 2 titles for us. That's from Ellie. Ellie, you're 100% right. You're 100%. But that's in PFL. Okay, so I totally agree that I think it was 10 wins in a row, actually. Not 8, 10. So congratulations to Olivier Aubin-Mercier, another longtime student I've trained for many years. And of course, he trains at H2O as well. And we've been working together for a very, very long time. He's a great fighter. But I believe in UFC, he had 4 wins in a row. Okay, outside of UFC, I believe it was 10 wins in a row. But look, PFL and UFC, it's not the same level of competition. Okay, let's be fair. Got to be fair because the guys in UFC, they're facing next level competition. Next level. We have yet to see a champion from PFL go into UFC and have a run. I can't even think of one. Can I think of one? No, I can't. I can only think of other way around. From UFC to PFL. But never from PFL to UFC. Okay, so it's doable. It's possible. I'm sure they have a lot of great talent. But we can't say it's the same. We just can't say it. Okay, I think it would be unfair. Is the Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman the greatest victory? Ali was expected to lose against a stronger opponent, George, but Ali was too smart, saved his energy until the 8th round and knocked George down. Ali Boumaye, that's from Shiz. Is it the greatest win of all time? I wouldn't say it's the greatest win of all time. I think it'll be hard to say, but it's probably the greatest boxing win of all time. Yes. Why? Man, that fight was so historic. George Foreman was like the Ali of his time. Okay, he was wasting guys. He had just wasted Joe Frazier in 1 or 2 rounds. I can't remember what it was. It was a devastating knockout. He just mauled. Joe Frazier was the Tyson of his time, and George Foreman walks in and just mauls him, just like puts him to bed quick. And then he's fighting George Foreman is fighting Muhammad Ali in Zaire. So they went to America as slaves and they came back as kings. And there's a great documentary on that, When We Were Kings. It's like, that's the whole story. Look, they came, the European came here, they took us, the Americans, they came here, the Europeans became Americans, Americans came here, they took the slaves, the blacks. And now the blacks are coming back to Zaire, the motherland, but they're coming back as kings, as champions. And Muhammad Ali was at that time, far more sensitive to the black cause than George Foreman. George Foreman was a young guy who didn't know much about politics and history. He just at least didn't seem to be. He wasn't as vocal about it. So the people of Zaire loved Ali. They loved Ali, but Ali's the underdog, much smaller. And he did something so brilliant. Ali did something so brilliant. He did today we call it the rope-a-dope. Rope-a-dope. A dope is a guy who's a dummy. He tricked the bigger, stronger, more dangerous George Foreman. How did he do it? He laid against the ropes. Muhammad Ali laid against the ropes and taunted Foreman and let Foreman spend his big shots. And Ali later said he thought he was going to die. But in the ring, he wasn't showing any pain or pity. He was saying, "That's all you got, George? That's all you got?" You could see him talking visually on the camera when you're watching the fight. You can't hear what he's saying, but you could hear him. He's talking. He's talking to George Foreman. He keeps antagonizing George Foreman. Now, George Foreman's about to kill him, and he's landing these vicious shots. And you'd think that maybe Muhammad Ali would try to get on George Foreman's good side. No, on the opposite. He was taunting George, making fun of George, insulting George. And George was getting angry and punching even more and draining that gas tank even more. And Ali was on the ropes. And being on the ropes is considered very bad. Especially in that time. If you were on the ropes, you were losing. In the eyes of the judges, in the eyes of the crowd, in the eyes of the commentators, everybody thought if you're on the ropes, like the expression goes, I'm up against the ropes, meaning, I'm in a bad spot. Ali said no. After the fight, he said, you boxing scholars don't know anything. Being on the ropes can be a very good place. He flipped the tables on everybody. They coined the term rope-a-dope. He roped you in. He doped. You're a dope. You're a dummy. He pulled you into the ropes. He used the rope he roped a dope. He tricked you. Why? You didn't pace yourself. He got you to throw everything you got and you couldn't finish. And guess what? George Foreman gassed out. Ali starts landing shots, knocks him out, knocks him down. He could have finished. Ali had as Foreman was falling, he was primed. His fist was primed and ready to launch another shot. He didn't even throw it. Because that's how sure he was he got the knockout. Foreman hits the ground, and the bigger they are, the harder they fall. It was true that night, let me tell you. Foreman is out. And the whole time, the whole fight, the crowd was screaming, Ali Boumaier, Ali Boumaier. For those of you who don't know, that means Ali kill him. Ali kill him. And Ali was losing the whole time, but the crowd was behind Ali nonstop. They were chanting for Ali, chanting for Ali. Before the fight, they had painted murals of Ali winning as the champion. They were so behind Ali. It was a beautiful thing to see. But it looked like Ali was going to get destroyed up until the 8th round, where everything turned 180 with Ali finishing. Stunning. Guys, it was an epic win. And you guys should check out that documentary. I believe it's called When We Were Kings. An incredible documentary. Come to think about it now, I got to find it and rewatch it. How can an Olympic level judoka have a weak shoulder like this? Search Osmanov, Paris, 2024, dislocated. He's dislocated it while celebrating. That's from Muhammad. Well, it's probably a lingering injury he had in the past. It doesn't mean because, look, you could be cheering up and down and your shoulder come out of its place. Well, he applied massive amounts of stress of it in training. He pushed the envelope too far, probably had a pre-existing injury. It's not because he raised his hand up. He didn't go from being perfectly healthy to raising up his arm and breaking his shoulder. No, that's not how it works. Okay, he had a pre-existing injury, tight muscles, tendonitis. He pushed through it. Why? It's the Olympics. He wanted to participate. He wants to achieve his goal. They're all somewhat injured. Okay, so he made a false movement because the muscle was tight or he's out of line and it popped out of his socket. Maybe he has a pre-existing problem with dislocating his shoulder. It does exist. It's not that his shoulders are weak. They're weak in that time, that moment, for that particular movement. Why? He pushed the envelope. He pushed his body to the limits. Okay, guys, we have many super chats. This video is just finished uploading, adding title AMA 218 Coach Zahabi round 1. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Okay, guys, cooler on the super chats because I'm going to put up our friends' fight up here. AMA 218 Coach Zahabi. All right. Look at this. I found your fight. Okay, now, man, you put it up in the diagonal. The guy who filmed this is really an ass. You know, he's really an ass. Your friend that filmed this, I want him to give me 100 push-ups. Okay, you find him. You tell your friend, Coach Zahabi said he wants 100 push-ups for your horrific filming abilities. Horrific. Okay, this is like just drives me nuts. Drives me nuts that he could screw it up so bad. He really screwed it up this bad? It's not possible. It's not possible to screw up filming this badly. I can't even show this. I can't even show this on TV. I can't even show it. Oh my God, this is horrific. All right, I'm going to play it. I don't know which guy you are. You didn't tell me. This is horrific, guys. This is horrific. But let's go. Let's play it. Superman punch. Okay, I'm assuming you're the guy in the green gloves. Man, your cameraman needs to be punished. Ugh. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay, so I'm going to go with the good first. Okay, so look, the good stuff was you circled nicely. You had good boxing. You know, you boxed pretty well. You know, you had some spring in your step. You guys are, okay, you're still at the beginner level. You're more at the beginner level. Okay, it's a smoker. What's a smoker? For those of you out there who don't know, it's kind of like a public sparring. We invite friends and family. You guys fight, but in big gloves, safe equipment. And, you know, usually they don't let it get out of hand. It's a fight. It's a competitive fight, but it's more of a public sparring than an actual fight night. Okay, so if one guy's getting beat up, they're going to stop it way earlier than they would if it was a regular fight, generally speaking. And you're using sparring equipment. Okay, so it's not like fight night gloves, 10-ounce gloves, 8-ounce gloves. Of course, not 4-ounce gloves. It's 16-ounce gloves. Okay, so it's much safer. Look, the good, you had, again, I'm talking about for your level here. Okay, you did a good job circling. You did good output. You know, you had some good outputs. What I would say you could improve on. Okay, number one, your head movement. Head movement was very poor. You dropped your hands a lot when you kick, and you didn't counter as much as you should. Okay, the guy you were fighting was throwing you he's throwing you freebies, and you're not taking them. So I think good counter punching is really important. I have a good counter punching video. I have a mace ball video. One of my most underrated videos, the mace ball. It's a crazy good video, but one of the most underrated videos. And I do have a new striking program that's going to be coming out. I think you guys are going to benefit from it a lot. It's, let's say, a month away. Let's say roughly. I'm filming it currently. It's going to be a really good striking partner drill video. But other than that, I would tell you, like, you need to learn some more fundamental basics, okay? Because you're exposing yourself. When you punch, you're exposing yourself. Meaning, when I say exposing yourself, like your chin is not in position, your legs are not in the correct position. I highly recommend a man's guide to throwing a punch. A man's guide to throwing a punch is a really, really good video for you. And very important, I would tell you, professional shadow boxing. Because your movements are a little bit clunky. They're not silky. They're not smooth. You need to do a lot of shadow boxing to kind of like develop your coordination. Okay, so I think you're on the right track. And of course, you have weight to lose. You have to get in shape. So I would tell you, you need to do some proper dieting, some proper fitness training, etc., and take your fitness to the next level. And also, very important, don't forget to punish the cameraman. The cameraman must be. I want 200 push-ups from him. I want him to suffer for this horrible camera angle that he gave us. Redwood Sam, thank you for the donation. Sir, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Merci beaucoup. Oh, no, Jihad, you're not the guy in the green. You're the black guy because your avatar is... Sorry, man. Sorry. I took the wrong guy. I assumed you were the guy in green. I don't know why. I just saw your picture now. My apologies, friend. No, you guys did well. Look, it's a smoker. It's... I think you're boxing well. It's just that you're on the right track. I would say, look, I'm watching it now. I'm watching as the man in the black shorts. I would say you have to, whenever you're fighting a shorter guy, you always have to be as tall as the guy you're fighting. Like, you never want to be up here. If you're up here with real small gloves, you're going to be on the floor. So, like, get lower. I would tell you that's the number one takeaway. Get lower, and he was giving you a lot of things you could have countered. If you drill your counters every day, like shadow boxing, the guy will be throwing lazy kicks like that, lazy punches. You'll just pick him apart, So I would tell you, I would up my countering ability. Okay, guys, we have a message from Redwood Sam. Salam, coach. I play tennis and hike and just got plantar fasciitis, sharp pain. What would you recommend? Rest completely? How long? That's from Redwood. Redwood, I had plantar fasciitis myself. It was horrific pain. For those of you who don't know, it's like the bottom of your foot's like aching. I had all sorts of experts try to give me their opinion and treatments. It didn't work. Nothing worked. What worked? I went back to my strong and stable for knees protocol where you climb up on the ball. And standing on the ball, my feet were flexing so rough and tough and hard that my plantar fasciitis went away. I just don't trust their methods, man. I show you the progression on the stability ball. It's advanced. It's easy to do. I think it takes like 2-3 weeks. But after that, your system, your chain is completely protected from your feet to your hips. I would say the chain from your feet to your hips are protected. I've been training for 25 years. I'm 45 years old. I'm going to be 46 soon, and my body feels great. I feel incredible. My back, my legs, my knees. I train on a regular basis, and I have no pain. And I had horrible plantar fasciitis, horrific, and nothing helped until I went back on my routine. Nothing. I did everything they told me to, and nothing worked. It would make me feel better, but then it would come back. It would make me feel better, and then it would come back. Now it's like, I don't have any plantar fasciitis. It disappeared. Coach, please give your Abrahamic experience argument to ChatGPT and tell it to debate as an atheist. It will interesting, I believe. I don't think so. Look, I love to give your name, but it's in Greek, so I can't. I'm just gonna call you Mr. Greek. Mr. Greek. I don't think. I've had dialogues with ChatGPT. ChatGPT only has surface level understanding, very surface level. It's going to pull something up from the internet. Okay, it's going to find something that's most searched and most clicked on and longest read, and it has an algorithm, but it doesn't really have thoughts of its own. Okay, don't forget, ChatGPT is not, it's not sentient, right? So it's going to run my questions and comments through the algorithm, and it's going to give me some kind of surface level response. And to be honest with you, it probably won't, there's very few people out there who understand the Abrahamic experience. And I would do it, honestly, just for you. But the thing is, I'm sure people are going to get bored and are uninterested. If people are interested, hit me with a bunch of thumbs up in the chat room and I'll do it. But I think a lot of people will just find that lame, you know. Jihad, sorry about that. You're the other guy. My apologies. Yes, I just figured that out afterwards. Apologies. Thoughts on fascia training? Thank you, Coach. That's from Devin Tuck. Well, you want to release fascia, right? So fascia is like that the material between your skin and muscles. So yes, I believe in kneading the muscle, rolling it. I love to use a massage gun. I think the massage gun is the best tool, along with lacrosse ball rolling. I think that's great. It's super important. Your body should feel loose. You should feel loose. You shouldn't feel any tightness. If there's any tightness, in the Strong and Stable program, I always talk about, it's either a tight muscle or you're misaligned. Those are the two major issues. Kelly Starr talks about it a lot. Those are the two major issues. You always want your muscles and fascia to be loose. We don't usually say fascia because people don't know what the hell you're talking about. So we say muscle, but really it's the fascia. The materials between your skin and your muscle are tight. And you need to get them flowing again. You need to soften them up so they slide. The surfaces slide over one another. So when you're training, there's a give. When they build a building, when they build a huge building, there's a variety of ways that they build a building where the core, the base of the building can sway, or there's a give. Why? If there's an earthquake and there's no give, if the earth is shaking and there's nothing between the building and the earth that's absorbing that energy, the whole building will collapse. There's different kind of mechanisms they build. When they build the base of a building, it's always with some give. There's always a type of spring or oscillating mechanism. There's a lot of actually interesting technologies that they use. Sometimes they use a mass. The mass will move. They have to dissipate the energy one way or another. When your fascia is loose or the surfaces are sliding, when you're training, there's a give. Just like an earthquake, when there's an earthquake and a building's resting on that earth, if there's no give between the ground shaking and the building, that building's going to come down crumbling. But if there's a give between the two, then the building absorbs a lot less power, a lot less energy. So it's the same thing. That's why you never want to go into practice with tight fascia. Okay, so it's a really important and a crucial element to staying healthy. Ballet foot stretches help my feet. That's from Daniel Quinn. Wow, that's something I haven't tried. I haven't tried that. Frank Mofo wants to know, Coach, please explain why you didn't implement grappling for Ayman against Chito. Well, guys, I can't talk about fighters that I trained. I can't do that. It's not professional. If I tell you, people are listening. People are gonna look. Ayman's a very, very excellent grappler. He's a black belt. He's a very good wrestler. Why doesn't he use it in fight night? I think it remains to be seen. He's definitely got that card to play. Coach, please watch the 36 chamber sometime. That's from Yahya. What is the 36 chamber? Let me look that up real quick. Oh, the 36 chamber. That's a Kung Fu movie. Oh, that's cool. Let me look it up. This is the full movie. 36 Chambers Shaolin movie in Hindi. I did it in English. Oh, you can rent it. Full movie. I'm sure somebody's uploaded it. Come on. That looks like a cool movie. It's like a retro in Espanol. They have it in Espanol. All right, I'll try to. I like those kind of movies. Old school 36 Chambers. That's really cool. Coach, you missed 3 of my super chats. That's impossible. Adam Rogers, that's impossible. Is that possible? How bad is my CTE? Goodness gracious. I thought I was hitting 100% super chats. 100. That was my score. I was like, oh, I'm nailing it today. I'm at 100% ratio. 100%. And now he's saying I missed 3 of them. Holy moly. Is that possible? Coach, do you let your kids celebrate Halloween? Look, we don't celebrate Halloween, but I let my kids get dressed up and go get candy. Okay, so I don't celebrate Halloween. No. We just tell people, happy holidays, happy whatever. We're not going to sit there and lecture everybody and talk about Halloween. What does it mean? Our intention is just to have fun. I let them get dressed up because they're kids. All their friends are doing it. And it means nothing. It's just a cultural thing. We take it as a cultural fun game. The kids are playing a game. They're having fun. It has nothing to do with religion or demons or anything like that. But also, I don't like them to dress as demons or devils or anything like that. I like them to dress as something fun, But if it's a little bit creepy or whatnot, okay, whatever. I let them have fun. I let them enjoy their childhood. It's a cultural thing. The intention behind it is just to entertain the kids. It's not a ritual. Okay. So, look at this. I did miss his super chat, but just one. Oh, no, there's another one. There you go. Oh, you sent me 3 times the same thing? Goodness gracious. I'm a huge fan of Makhachev, and I want to see him win, but he is not getting past JDM. That's from Last Chance. Damn, Last Chance. That's tough. I don't know. I think you might be surprised. I don't know. It's a tough fight. Look, JDM's a stud, man. I can't tell you that I can't tell you that I know he's going to beat JDM. No. This is a tough one. Coach, Ilya Taporia mainly uses his hands. Do you think it's better to perfect your boxing and make it deadly weapon like him, or mix in kicks, knees, and elbows like Connor? That's from Ali. Ali, it all depends on your personal attributes. Okay, he was a gifted puncher. He even says it in interviews. Like, even when I didn't know much technique, I would hit people with my hands, and I realized that, hey, I had a lot of power. So he accentuated his gift. Now, you might not have that kind of power. You might have blinding, takedown ability, or you might have incredible endurance, or you might have incredible, level change, where, you have to find your gifts. Okay, so that's why you'll see many world champions with different styles. And that's okay. You gotta accept that your style might not be like your favorite fighter. Okay, now, Ilya Taporia has never thrown a single head kick in his career, as far as I know. I've never seen him throw a head kick. But I wouldn't say head kicks are not a good weapon. I've seen a lot of guys win fights with head kicks. Okay, so he's never done, to my knowledge, he's never done an armbar. Well, I've seen guys win world championship with an armbar. Okay, like Pettis won a world championship against Benson Henderson with an armbar. Are you going to tell him that armbar is not good? Well, all I'm trying to say is you got to find the right path for you. Not everybody wins the same way. And it doesn't mean because one guy's winning with boxing that boxing is the end-all, be-all. Like what if Islam Makhachev beats JDM with a takedown and gets on his back and chokes him, and he beats Ilya Taporia after with a double leg and gets on his back and chokes him? Are we going to be like, hey, the way to go is get the guy down and choke him? No. Could be the case that the next fight, Makhachev loses to a boxer. So we're always constantly chasing our tail. I think the right answer is, what characteristics do you have, and how can we accentuate? How can we build a style that works for you? I'm a big believer in this. Like if I was training Ilya Taporia and I was training Conor McGregor, I wouldn't train them the same way. And I think a trainer that trains them both the same way, he's only going to go so far. He's only going to go so far as a trainer, and he's only going to have a few students that are successful. Coach, what are your thoughts on higher fat, low carb diets? I know you prefer the opposite, but I find it more enjoyable to eat more tender, fatty meat. That's from Adam Roger. I'm not against that, okay? But I will tell you, in my experience, if you're doing MMA or jiu-jitsu or boxing, it's a glycogenic sport, so you need glycogen. So if you're going to go high fat, you need to time your carbs before practice. So they have something called carb timing, which I'm not against. I think is fantastic. They eat high carb. Excuse me. They eat high protein, high fat, low carb, unless they're about to train. So if they're about to train, 2-3 hours before, they carb up. They'll eat some rice, some bread, some sweet potato. They're going to have a bowl of Cheerios or something, with maybe some rice milk or something. They're going to carb up, and then they go work out. So they only eat carbs before and after intense training. Because other than that, you don't really need carbs. Now, some people believe that if you go full no carbs, you just eat fats, you just eat proteins, eventually you're going to burn ketones, and ketones is superior to glycogen. Now, personally, I've never seen anybody do it and compete at the highest level. I know guys who claim they've done it and they say that they're feeling better than ever, and then, they're doing well in their gym, but I've never seen them go out there in the highest level and compete. To my knowledge, there's not a single guy in a power sport that's doing it without carbs. There's not one single guy. Okay, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, George St. Pierre, he's carnivore. He's carnivore. That's after his career. And his carnivore is like, he eats a lot more meat than he used to, and he's dimmed down the other stuff. But it doesn't mean, believe me, he still eats carbs, he still eats fruits, he still eats other things, okay? He'll still get processed foods, believe me. He's just minimized the other stuff and accentuated the meat. Guys, I remember one time we took a picture of both of us who were at a burger joint eating burgers, and everybody's writing, oh, I thought you were carnivore. Yeah, he's carnivore, but he eats carnivore more often than before. That's all it is. Guys, I've also tried carnivore. I had Paul Saladino on this podcast, and he was telling me fruit and meat. And he's like, eat as much fruit as you want. I'm like, what about dates? He's like, eat as much as you want dates. Guys, I got fat on the diet because I was eating a lot of dates. Like, I don't think he counted how many dates I would eat. He's like, eat as much as you want. I was eating like 20 dates in the morning. And then I was eating a steak. It was crazy. But I didn't particularly enjoy the diet. Now, I got more muscular, sure, but I also got fatter. So I went back I took out the fructose. I went back to potatoes. I went back to rice. Actually, I went more to potatoes. Potatoes are much lower there's no fructose in potato. Anyways, long story short, I got the belly fat off. But adding unlimited amounts of fruit, which I think from what I understand now, he changed his mind again. Now he minimizes the amount of fruit. So you can have a certain amount of fruit, not unlimited. When I was on my podcast, he's like, go ahead, eat it to our heart's content. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, you can't get fat off fruit. I'm like, really? I've read otherwise and I've seen otherwise. He's like, no, trust me. So I tried it. Just because, he's my guest and I want to honor my guest and, try his method. But it wasn't a fit for me. If understanding of God is limited by individual consciousness / IQ, so rigid interpretation results from a panic response which doesn't combat evil. That's from Yamani, guys. I have no understanding what this man just said. Let me reread that and try to break it down. Is understanding of God is limited by individual consciousness. Okay, somebody can make sense of this, please. Somebody respond back to him and rewrite it the way he should have wrote it, because this doesn't make any sense. I think he means if. He wrote is, but I'm just reading it the way it is. If understanding of God is limited by individual consciousness / IQ, so I think you mean by individuals' limited understanding, so rigid interpretation results from a panic response which doesn't combat evil. Wow! I'm assuming your first language is not English. Okay, so I'm going to try to reinterpret what you said. Okay, you're saying because human intellect is limited and we're trying to understand God, so a rigid interpretation results from a panic response. So we give interpretations of God's word and we have a panic response because, which doesn't combat. I don't honestly, I'm doing my best here, Yamani. I just can't understand exactly what you're trying to say. My apologies, friends. Maybe use interpretation. Like a interpretation software and go from your mother tongue to English, because the way you constructed your sentences, unfortunately, this doesn't make sense. And I swear I'm doing my best here. So I can see you're spending you're in AED dollars, so you're from Middle East. So assalamu alaikum, and I hope I wish I could understand your question. I just honestly don't. Coach, do you think Craig Jones helps Australian fighters because he wants to prop his country up, or more to shut Dagestan down? Well, I'm not one to psychoanalyze Craig Jones. You know, I've seen quite a bit of his material, and I can tell you that I think we'd need a team of psychologists to read that man. I actually met him in Montreal. He's actually a really nice guy, super sweet guy. I think he does it, because he's a competitor and he wants to get in the game and stir it up. And I'm sure he's getting compensated for his efforts, and it builds his brand, his name, just like everybody else. He wants to build his career. So I don't think it really comes down to country per se. Coach, how should Islam do in striking to compete against JDM? That's from Mustafa. Look, I tell you, I think he's got to be smart and keep him guessing. We all saw what Khabib did to McGregor. He faked a takedown through that overhand right. That's a real threat. Maybe not that particular combo, but I would threaten him with wrestling and striking simultaneously, and he has to pick his poison. If he overreacts on the takedowns, he's going to get hit with the hands. And if he defends too much against the hands, he's going to get taken down. You got to create a dilemma that's going to punish JDM. Now, I won't say more than that, but I would tell you that that's definitely the line of thinking I would be going down. Coach Faraz, a secret Craig Jones fan, confirmed. That's from Owen. Owen, why is secret? I'm openly telling you I like the guy. I like his material. He's good. He's a funny, entertaining, and very well accomplished grappler. Coach, what's your opinion on men crying in public? That's from Kratos. Well, I would discourage that. I think it's not something you should do, So, I mean, you can have a really good reason. Sometimes it could be understandable. But openly crying for a non-serious reason, I think, is like very bad. Very bad. Avoid it at all costs. Yahya Mandani says, why does rigid faith come from fear, not wisdom? Why does rigid faith? Well, you're assuming, you're adding what we call a loaded question. You're assuming that rigid faith comes from fear. Look, I think rigid faith, sometimes it comes from oversimplification. Now, knowing the basics really well is super important, but we have to go to higher levels of thinking. And in higher levels of thinking, there's no concrete black and white. Now, there's this, I think you have to start with a base of black and white thinking, and then you got to build, and you got to accept that there's gray zones and things we don't understand and different ways to interpret things. I think there's some of that, because here's the way I like to think about it. There's science, but there's also art. And reality is a mix of the two. Now, I know people sometimes they want to think so rigid, they only want to think scientific thinking. And other people, they just want to think artistic thinking. They're pie in the sky. When you talk to them, they're like, hey man, an armbar is just a fancy leg lock on the arm. Everything's a leg lock. Even the triangle, a chokehold is just a leg lock around the guy's neck. They just kind of like pie in the sky. They identify things any which way they want. When you talk to them, it's like you're talking to Jordan Peterson. He's just flip-flopping in the wind. There's nothing ever. He never says anything. It's never concrete. There's nothing. It's just everything is art and everything's shiny. If I think it's beautiful, then it's beautiful. And if I think it's 1 + 1 = 3, that's my truth. They're sophists. Everything is art and everything's perspective, and I don't agree. Now you have the other end. Everything is rigid. Everything's black and white. Everything's objective. It's proven mathematically or scientifically, or it's hogwash. It's all nonsense. And Leonardo da Vinci said it best. He said, look, the truth is a blend of science and art. He didn't use those exact terms, but think about it as mathematics and art. There's a perceived contradiction there. But it's an apparent contradiction. As Hegel would say, it's an apparent contradiction. So I would tell you, look, the truth is always some science and some art. And saying no to either side is wrong. You're always missing a piece of the pie. Sometimes I talk to really intelligent scientific minds, and when I cross-examine them long enough, they have a meltdown because they realize that, hey, their worldview cannot account for what we see in the world. Because some of what we see in the world is intangible and escapes science, escapes mathematics. And when philosophers point to that, they have a bit of a meltdown. And they deny it. They outright get angry. They have a psychological response. Well, that's art. Psychology is art. It's not a scientific, mathematical type, rigid way of thinking. But just because there is art doesn't make everything art. That's the other thing. It's like Jordan Peterson tries to turn everything into art. It's all the way you see it. No, I don't agree. If you get the wrong answer, you're wrong. Get in an airplane with a pilot and tell him, hey, I disagree with you. I think pushing this button is going to land us nice and safe. And if the pilot and the co-pilot are like, no, if you push that button, we're going to crash and burn. Or maybe not one button. You guys get what I'm saying. If you do this sequence of events, you push this button, you remove this throttle. If you give us your planned sequence of events, let's say some layman walks into the cockpit and he's like, I think you should pull this lever, move the stick to this degree, push these buttons, and flip the switch over here. And they tell you, look, if you do that sequence, we're going to crash and burn. I would believe the pilot. I would say, look, it's not up to interpretation. These guys know what you're talking about. They know what they're talking about. They know the physics of this plane. Don't perform this sequence. And the guy's like, oh, just because you went to your aviation schools and you guys give yourself these diplomas that are all social structures, it's all made up. You think you're better than me, You have these kind of artistic thinkers. They think that everything is equal. No. There's a reason why the guy's a pilot. And physics is a true thing. And this machine has been engineered to operate in this way. And it's not all art and it's not all opinion. Here, matters of fact count very much. We can either burn and crash and burn, or we can land safely, depending on how we behave now. So I think we could all see clearly it's not all interpretation. It's not all your opinion versus mine. Your truth, my truth. No. There's an abundant amount of proof that reality exists. And there's a correspondence from what we believe to the world around us. And we can't forget that. But there's also art. We got to accept art and science. And we got to learn to see the two coexisting in the same place at the same time in the world we live in. Hey, Coach, do you think it's possible in life to be a very high-level martial artist and artist? How would you balance the two? That's from Jude White. Well, of course you can be both. I mean, I'm a philosopher and a martial artist. If I spent my time studying art and not philosophy, I could have been an artist and / jiu-jitsu or MMA practitioner. Like, I have a brother who's a PhD in medicine, and he's a black belt. Why does it have to be just one? It doesn't take a lifetime to get a black belt. It doesn't take a lifetime to, excel in art. So I would tell you, look, to practice both on a daily basis. Think about it. You got 8 hours 3 times in a day. You got 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to work, and 8 hours for whatever else you love. Family, recreation, etc. So, out of those 8 hours, if you carved, let's say 4 for family and 2 for jiu-jitsu and 2 for art, I think over time you become a great artist and a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. Coach, are we going to have an alt season? That's from Katu. Katu, the alt season's been very strange this year. It's like, did it even pass? Did it even come? But look, I heard people complaining, oh, Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin is down. Guys, Bitcoin was at 106,000 and people were having a meltdown. It's down. It's down. A few months ago, it hit 100,000. Like, it hit 100,000 in 2024. And everybody was, 2025. And everybody was celebrating 100,000. Guys, what asset is growing as fast as Bitcoin? The Bitcoiners, the crypto world is so spoiled. Like, you make 50% gain and then you lose 15% of those 50% gains and you're like, oh, you're crying in the wind. It's like, dude, relax, man. We're still up 35%. We made crazy gains. The crypto world is just spoiled. Hang on to your crypto. Hold it for minimum 4 years. Don't sell it. Me personally, I hold it for life. And I'm telling you, you make a ton of money. Just be patient. And alt season is coming. I don't know when. It's been a weird one. The cycle has changed. I think we should take note of it. We don't know how it's going to play out. We should take note of it. But I'm a big believer that this is just the beginning. And personally, I really think Bitcoin is going to keep exploding and the altcoins are going to follow suit. However, like crypto is growing so fast, I can't believe that people are still complaining about it. But that's the short-term holders. They complain because they bought and sold quick. They still don't understand crypto. They're trying to time the market, which is incredibly difficult and unlikely. Hey, coach, you don't have to read it out loud. I've been fighting for 10 years and I want to know if I could continue or should or not. If I come to Canada, can I train with you and you could tell me if I have any potential? That's from Alan O. Alan O, I promise you, if you come and you tell me, hey, this is Alan O, one of your subscribers. I came to your live and I asked you if you can evaluate me. I will take the time and I will evaluate you. So Alan O, if you make the trip up to TriStar, I will. I'm there every day. I'm there day and night. So please do come down and I will make time to evaluate you and I will give you an honest opinion, no doubt. All right, guys, my daughter just came home from school. I can hear her, so I'm going to have to sign off. But I want you guys to give me something fun and easy to wrap this up with. Something fun and easy. Relax, it will go back down to 20K. That's from Pino. Pino, I highly doubt Bitcoin ever goes down to 20K. I highly doubt. Me and you will never see that in our lifetime. I highly, highly doubt. It's not impossible, but I will tell you this is not. I really don't think so. It's going to go up to 250. That's what I think. I think it's going to go up to 250. By this time next year, let's give it a year and a half, it's going to be 250. Okay? That's what I think. Call me crazy. Coach, do you believe fighters should get paid competitive wages? Also, do you have fighters that are going to receive a check from the UFC lawsuit? UFC appears to be a monopoly to me. That's from CJ. No, I know a bunch of guys who are getting checks. That's for sure. And look, I don't really want to comment on the business side. I would love to see the fighters make more money. Sure, absolutely. But you know how it is. It's a lot of like, everybody wants to be in UFC, but then they don't like the price. So why don't they go somewhere else? There's nowhere really anybody paying more. So I don't know. I don't know how to interpret that. But then people say, well, if they didn't corner the market, we wouldn't want to be necessarily with them. But they put on the best show. Why? They have a history, right? They came out, UFC, Royce Gracie. They made such a huge splash. They pioneered the sport. So some people are going to argue, hey, they deserve that money. They built the brand. They built the sport. They built this whole market. This whole market didn't exist before they came in. So look, this is not something I really want to spend a lot of time and energy thinking about and commentating about. But I could see arguments on both sides. Now, ultimately, I would love to see the fighters make money. Why? They're putting so much time and energy, and their retirement plan is not the best. So I would love to see them have that ability to ride off into the sunset if they have a very strong run in the UFC. All right, guys, like I said, I haven't been podcasting for a few weeks because I've been traveling. I've been zigzagging all over the globe, and I was so extremely jet lagged when I got back. It took me a week just to get back on schedule. I was going into the gym as best I can, but I was totally falling asleep. I was pushing myself to stay awake. Now I'm feeling much more normal. I'm getting back to regular schedule, so I'll be trying to podcast a second time this week. Don't hold my feet to the fire. I'm just going to tell you guys I'm doing my best, but I will try to do a second podcast to catch up on my duties. Favorite real life pirate? I don't know any, Salah. I don't know any real life pirates. Sorry. If I went to Dagestan right now, would Islam and Khabib's team let me train with them or no? That's from pound for pound. No, they wouldn't. Trust me, they're very strict on their practice room. I've been allowed in the practice room. And let me tell you something. I was very privileged to be there. They check. They don't let just anybody train with them. Now, if you have a connection, that's the only way you'll get to train with them. They don't just let anybody walk in off the street. No. They're very strict with that. Who is your favorite of the Greek philosophers and why? That's from my friend the Greek. Guys, that's going to be the last one. Guys, I love Plato. Why did I love Plato? I don't agree with everything he says. I think he's highly misunderstood, and he just got me thinking. I loved his ability to get me thinking. Aristotle was also fascinating, intriguing. He was a second place for me. Why? I enjoyed Plato's works more. Plato, he was an artist as well. Okay, he wrote a beautiful story. Now, Aristotle, we don't have his original writings. All we have is the notes of his students. We don't have any of Aristotle's original writings. So it's much more note form, obviously. It's much more point by point, to the point type of thing, which is refreshing in a way. But when you read Plato and you get into it, it's a story. It's a dialogue of people talking. There's an imaginative. It's hard to explain, but it's storytelling at the same time. You're getting to get to know the characters. You're getting intrigued by the conversation. It's much more entertaining, but also it's very profound and makes you think. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what Plato says. I think he's a brilliant man, a genius, but misunderstood. I think a lot of things he said that people misinterpret. They quickly dismiss him, but he's completely right and they're completely wrong. I can go into details in another future episode, but I thought he's a brilliant man who got us to think. And for that reason, because he got me to think more about certain things, I preferred him to Aristotle. But Aristotle also, of course, was incredible. My favorite Greek thinker would have to be Plato. Now, of course, there's a lot of great pre-Socratics or pre-Plato thinkers, but we have fragments of their thinking, fragments only. And some of them were very intriguing, especially Xenophanes. I really found him to be intriguing. And, you have other interesting characters, but I would say I would love to learn more about Pythagoras and Xenophanes. Okay, guys, with that said, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to use fall 50 off and get 50% off anything you want on jujiclub.com. Thank you all for tuning in. I had a fun as always, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.